Hello again, this is BDU. I thought I might talk to you guys about why Brainstorm is so good in Eternal formats, most particularly Legacy. But before I get to that, I must tell all my viewers out there who are kind of uptight over me posting non-Magic related content on my channel that I am more to an individual than just Magic, and I do have an actual life outside of Magic. So for all you people who are still uptight, please ask yourself the question, am I more to an individual than just Magic itself? But aside from that, getting back to the feature of this video, Brainstorm. Brainstorm is one blue mana for an instant that will allow you to draw 3 cards, but then you have to put 2 cards back on top. Upon Brainstorm's release, it was considered the poor man's Ancestral Recall, just because it had the features of costing 1 blue, being an instant, and allowing you to draw 3 cards. But then it was later called the fair Ancestral Recall, because then you had to put the 2 cards back on top of your library. Any 2 cards from your hand, any 2 cards that you presently had in your hand on top of your library. This was originally released as a common, and the art was done by Chris Rush, as you can see here. At the time of its release, it wasn't too good, and people didn't know the power of reshuffling effects. But for those who did find it early on, congratulations. But aside from that, Brainstorm then started to pick up some pace when Alliances was released to the general public after the dismal performance of Homelands. With thawing glaciers. I kind of lost my words right there. But anyway, the cards then started to gradually pick up more momentum as more people started to realize that you can keep the 3 cards you drew, and then you can get rid of the 2 cards that you don't need without having to trash them with shuffling effects. Or you can use this card to draw the next 3 cards and hide 2 cards in response to a card trying to take a specific card out of your hand, without giving away too much information, since your opponent will not be able to see the next 2 cards on top of your deck. When Brainstorm started to pick up additional pace going into 2000, that's what people did with the card. If they were playing blue, they would pack 2 or maybe a full playset of these and play it through the mill. It was so good that they had to restrict it in Vintage, where a lot of powerful combo effects reside as of today. But why it's so good in Legacy is it allows you to stack the top 2 cards of your library. You would draw your 3 cards, as you usually do, and then you put the 2 cards you don't need at that present time on top of your library. And then with the reshuffling effect, you can shuffle those cards away rather than having to trash it. It's also good in EDH and every other Eternal format which would allow you to use it. But aside from that, that's why Brainstorm is pretty good. It allows you to draw 3 cards, put 2 cards back on top for later. You can use this to hide cards in response to your opponent trying to take your stuff with a discard effect, such as Duress or Cash Seize. And it is also so a good way to shuffle away cards that you don't need. I can rant on about the history of this card over and over and over, but there are actually 3 designs of this card in circulation at this time. Not only was this released in Ice Age as a common, it was also released in 5th edition with the same Chris Rush art as a common. I don't have any of those white bordered copies at this time, but it was released there. It was also re-released later in 2006 as a limited edition precon card that came with one of the Cold Snap decks. You got 3 copies with it, with a sole copy of Kaja Foglio's take on Swords to Plowshares. But before that version was released, actually that version was released with the current frame, there was also Tony's version of the card. This one was also released within a 4-year trajectory, and it was also released as a common with updated text, another flavor text, and a much different image. There's also an F&M promo version of this card. If you're able to get a copy of it, consider yourself lucky, because those copies are going for about a few $100s at this time, thanks to EDH and, of course, our good friends in Legacy and Vintage. As you can see, I have 8 copies of this particular design. I got these from a local supplier before the price shot up to about $2 or more in some other places. And the little history about this particular set of Brainstorms I have in my hand that are signed off by Chris Rush. I have these as a keepsake from Grand Prix San Jose 2007, improperly titled Grand Prix San Francisco 2007. What happened was the organizer for Match Play used to do this improper thing where he stated that the event was going to be held in San Francisco when it was really going to be held in San Jose. It kind of got a lot of people within the international community very upset at Wizards for allowing this type of practice to go on. So then Wizards made it a policy that if you're going to host an event that's not in location A, when it's really going to be held in location B, you have to put it in the title. No excuses. That is why, since that particular event, when Grand Prix are held in Tacoma, up in Washington State, they say Seattle/Tacoma. These particular Brainstorms that were signed off by Chris Rush made up for some of the upset in regards to the organizer not telling me that Mark Pohl was going to be in attendance for on-site signing. If Mark Pohl still accepts mail-ins at this time, I would love to send some stuff to him for mail-in, which should save me some hassle in traveling. But I doubt it if Mark Pohl is watching this video at this time. But aside from that, Brainstorm is one of the premier cards. It has also been considered too good at many early points last decade. I say around 2007, 2008. And has been considered and has evaded the axe multiple times, even as better cards have come along in more recent expansions or weaker versions of it, such as Serum Visions and Ponder. But as Brainstorm was considered many times for the axe, it has continued to evade the axe because of those other better cards that have come along that are not related to Brainstorm at all. Anyway, I hope this little explanation helped in regards to Brainstorm and why I have these particular Brainstorms in my hand at this time. This is VDU, signing out.